over to Rhythm on this one, the big story. Give full credit to Rhythm for the way she's pursued the Aravalli case. Full credit to Shaman for the way he's followed it up. Full credit also to Shambhavi, our reporter on the ground who did a great job reporting this. Over to you,
Let's be absolutely clear, Arnab. The Aravalli story was not just an accident. This was a Republic campaign. I think it's one of the first times we are seeing the system quietly diluted the protection for one of the world's oldest mountain ranges. Republic was the only one that asked the initial questions as to who benefits. We had our investigation that was being carried out. Shavan and Shambhavi were having this investigation for 10 days. Mahinder was the person they were speaking to. There was illegal mining. It exploded. We were showing those visuals when there was bribe being caught on Republic TV cameras. We blew the lid of illegal mining. Just as we were showing that investigation, Niranjan, there was national outrage because after our campaign had galvanized, then came the big interview.
Yes.
Arnab spoke to the man who authored the judgment of 20th of November, Justice Gavay. When that interview happened, I got calls from judges, senior advocates. They were trying to really grasp what had happened because I saw for one of the first times after the Yashwant Verma case, it was something they had not experienced. The former Chief Justice of India came on the channel, spoke to Arnab, and they felt something was amiss.
Yes.
After that, I'll tell you, with my sources, the government started making calls to earlier amicus in the cases. They started to wonder what could possibly happen. And a few days later, on a Friday, that's the 27th of December, we're being told that there's going to be a suo motu review by the Supreme Court in this case. This is just after Hari Salve, an amicus in this case, comes on Arnab's show, gives him an interview. We're actually going to try and take a look at that. That's so crucial because every big breaking news of the Aravalli was actually happening right here with our campaign and what Shambhavi did. If we can play those full-frame visuals also of what happened when Shambhavi was in Sikar and in those other places where Mahinder and other people tried to offer bribes. First, we're going to go across and show that visual of Mahinder who tried to offer a bribe to...
I just want to put it in the context. This is a mining mafia guy. Yes. Mining guy, mafia or not, I don't know. Mining guy who is trying to bribe a Republic reporter who's exposed him and what he's doing. We can play this,
नहीं सर बस आप हमसे छोटी है बड़े भाई के नाते जो है ना आप आइए आप छोटा सा नहीं मैं सब क्या बताओ कुछ छोटा सा उपहार है या आपके नहीं सर अरे ये क्या अरे नहीं सर बिल्कुल मैं समझ रही हूँ मैं सिर्फ आपसे जानकारी लेने नहीं वो आपकी बहुत बड़ी है मेरे से मैंने ये भी आपसे निवेदन किया कि कभी भी आपको मेरे सिस्टम से संबंधित किसी भी प्रकार के आप जानकारी चाहिए तो आप कभी भी 24 घंटे मुझे आप कॉल कर सकती हो मैं जो भी उपलब्ध होगा आपको जानकारी लेकिन ये आप वो आपका ट्रैवलिंग में वो आपके बहुत खर्चे हो रहे हैं मैं समझ रही हूँ और फिर मुझे वो मिलता है इतना तो नहीं मिलता है तो इसमें क्या छोटा सा उपहार है कोई नहीं इसको भाई की तरफ से गिफ्ट मान के रख लो इसको अच्छा आप आशीर्वाद दे दीजिए आपका काफी है नहीं आप भाई की तरफ मान के इसको रखो नहीं बिल्कुल आप रखिए आप बिल्कुल रखिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका चलिए थैंक यू
So clear, Arnab, very clearly illegal mining, this Republic campaign. We were the only channel not doing armchair journalism. Our reporter, my colleague is there. She speaks to them. They offer her a bribe. That's how the campaign picked up with the power of what we were doing at that time.
Yeah, I think visuals are so telling, Rhythm. I was just thinking as you spoke out there, a mining mafia trying to bribe a Republic reporter is how we are tried to bribe and got snubbed. Year starts with a judge in whose house there are crores and crores of cash which are found. What happened to that story? People have a right to know what happened to the burning cash story. So to the people watching this program, I would say that, you know, don't think we are going to let these guys get away, whether this be corrupt judiciary whether this be corrupt politicians, whether this be corrupt businessmen, whether this be corrupt business houses, whether all of these people come together also, we will still challenge them. And these visuals are not the dying embers, but the burning, simmering fire in the hearts of the people of this country against corruption in the system. We still don't know. And the judiciary thought that they have got away with it. I want to tell the judiciary, with the greatest of respect to the judiciary, remember Aravalli. And remember that people are still wanting to know what happened to the case of the burning cash. Burning cash, Aravalli, forced retreat in the case of Sengar, a 15-year-old girl raped by a 50-year-old politician. System let the rapist off the hook almost in a mini acquittal. Aravalli, sheer brazenness rhythm.
Yes.
Sheer brazenness rhythm. Like in this concert of territorial battle between the executive and the judiciary, slips underneath unnoticed a definitional change of a 2-billion-year-old mountain range. But they thought nobody would notice rhythm. They thought nobody would notice. They thought, the government and the judiciary thought nobody would notice. And when they notice, the people are so smart and people catch on and people are so well aware that they started asking the questions.
It was so brazenly done. But I think there are some stories, Arnab, that are picked up, and there are some stories that just happened because I think there is a conspiracy by the universe. This was just waiting to happen. It had slipped up 20th November, the judgment came, the judge had retired, everything was going fine, and suddenly the environmentalists spoke up. You picked up the story. I truly believe the campaign did have an impact. I have never seen, it's unprecedented that a Supreme Court vacation bench takes up a matter, takes up a Supreme Court judgment and stays it in one hearing on a Monday. I got calls from people who were a part of the bench who gave and authored this Aravalli November 20th judgment. Congratulations, your campaign led to this.
You're saying those who gave the judgment congratulated Republic?
Yes. In a wary tone, in a guarded tone, but yes, that, this coverage led to this. So, it was begrudging respect, I would say, but this happened. And then, of course, there are daggers drawn.
Is it very good? I don't care about daggers. Is it very good that at least the judiciary in this country has acknowledged the power of the independent media as a conscience keeper of the country?
I think both the cases, Arnab. Justice Yashwant Verma's case was again just going to be slipped down. Yeah. We picked it up on a Sunday. I remember you had a marathon coverage. Yeah. All the bar associations came up, spoke with you, and then suddenly it spiraled into something that was causing fireworks in the judiciary.
Yeah, that we were living with a structural paradox in our country. And the structural paradox was that for the last 4 or 5 years, people thought that executive, judiciary, government, institutions, our constitutional bodies are beyond question. I think in the years that are to come, Abhishek, Rhythm, I'll tell you, transparency to an extreme level is what these systems will have to get used to. Yeah. They can't be, as they say, as the cliche goes, judge, jury, and executioner in their own cases.
Absolutely.
No.
Which they are.
I mean, I've seen this battle going on. We did a debate. I remember Arun Jaitley came. What a wonderful person. He did a debate at FICCI Auditorium on NGAC. Judiciary versus NGAC. Executive and the collegium and who should appoint and judge the judges. But it was a great debate. I mean, Soli Sorabji was there and Arun Jaitley was there. But after all these years, I look back and I say that in all these debates, isn't there an assumption that all the power structures are answerable only to the judiciary and the executive, that nobody else almost exists? The media is nowhere, and everybody else can be put in an echo chamber. I think what has happened in 2026 is 2025 is very important. Believe me, it will lead up to 20. There is a feeling this year that the people are going to question things. We are only reflecting that sentiment from Air India, Tata Group, responsibility, corporate houses, Indigo, Aravalli, Sengar, AQI. I think that people are people feel they need a greater voice now in the way things happen. So I just wanted to place it in context. I always look at things a bit theoretically, but I look at it like that. But wow, Aravalli, big one this year, right?
Absolutely. In fact,
You want to run some clips, you know?
Yes, we just want to run a clip of the shift in the entire Aravalli focus when Arnab spoke to the person who authored the judgment, Justice Gavay.
And I must say here, before we run the interview, that I must thank Rhythm for playing a tremendous role in getting the interview and making it happen, and for the grace of allowing me to do the interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my attempt always to go to the nub of the issue. Joining us is Justice Gavay, former Chief Justice of India and the author of this judgment on the Aravallis, which is being debated all over the country. Justice Gavay, I hope you will go through my questions and give me appropriate replies, because fundamentally, and I would like to begin by saying this, Justice Gavay, that I have a fundamental disagreement with your judgment, which as a citizen of India, I'm entitled to have. The Aravallis stood for 2 billion years. The judgment that has redefined them was delivered 3 days before your retirement. What was the hurry, Justice Gavay? The judgment was delivered on 20th November and you retired on 23rd November. What was the tearing hurry?
See, I have been monitoring this issue for more than 3 years. If you go through the judgment, we had raised, firstly, see, judges are not supposed to justify their judgment, but since this is an important issue and there's a misconception about the judgment, I agreed to speak to you. If you go through the judgment entirely, the difficulty is that the persons speak about the judgment without even reading them in the entirety. So if you go through the entire judgment, I had given the entire narration as to how the matter arose. There was some issue with regard to the difference adopted by the various states with regard to definition of Aravalli hills and Aravalli ranges. So in order to settle those matters, we heard the matter on number of occasions. Various issues were framed, and after hearing the matter, once you hear the matter at length, if you don't decide the judgment, it's like
Justice Gavay, may I ask you, how can you pass that comment on to me on my program that I have made my judgments on the issue without having gone through the judgment? I would politely, completely disagree with this presumption of yours and remind you that I have seen your judgment in entirety. In fact, no, I don't think you can pass a judgment like that, pass a comment like that on my observations, sir. I take offense to that. Having said that.
No. What I've seen on your program is that it is being projected as if we have given a complete license for mining in the Aravalli Hill, but that's not correct. If you go through the judgment, we have in fact imposed certain more restrictions on mining in the Aravalli hills and ranges.
Guys, come on, get involved. Where did Abhishek just go?
Abhishek has disappeared. While he's gone, I just wanted to make a small point that we are the only team, in fact, Arnab, that many years back when we launched Republic, one of our stories was a sting inside a court. Because we were on the point of judiciary, I wanted to mention that. And the reason why I wanted to mention that is because sometimes we think twice before speaking, and Rhythm knows. Rhythm usually cautions us on very sensitive cases or legal matters. But there was corruption inside a courtroom in Patna many years back, following which even the judiciary stepped in and took action to suspend a few officers of the court. So in this case as well, because you mentioned sometimes how it is uncomfortable to ask those questions, we've done that. We've done that. Yes, Rhythm.
It was a massive case. Prakash had done this investigation where the registry was involved with the court and how they were having this entire nexus with them. So absolutely, yes.
Yes.